Let's go ahead and bring the March 22nd, 2023, a regular board meeting for the Big Bear Area Regional Wastewater Agency. We have called, well, please.
So this right is when we.
To the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Liberty and
Vice Chair Miller, we need to do a roll call. Director Herrick, Vice Chair Miller.
Here.
Director Moat. Here. Director Walsh.
Here.
And Chair Green.
here.
So moved.
We need to do a roll call because we're on Zoom.
What?
We're on Zoom, so we have to do a roll call
Okay,
for everything.
sorry, go
Yes.
ahead.
Okay, Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Moat,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Green.
Aye.
Not listed on the agenda, or within the subject matter jurisdiction of the agency. Sorry, the state law prohibits the agency from taking action on any items not listed on the posted agenda. Comment, items listed on the posted agenda will be taken on each item's comments. Item number 5, we have presentations and interactions.
I think due to the weather.
I'm sorry for the weather.
I just want to say one thing. Do I have to step up or can I just say?
Yes, sure.
Well, I'll just say it. I just want to thank your staff for their snow removal services. You guys have done a bang up job. And all these storms, they're really nice. I've got the best one on the street. And I just think. No potholes either. Okay. Takes me.
See John about the potholes.
Thank you. Item 5, presentation and interactions.
Yeah, I think actually due to the weather, he didn't make it. He's been out dealing with ice loads actually.
Okay, item number 6, information committee report, general manager's report.
Yeah, so only a couple of things I wanted to point out to you. Specifically, the agency actually had a break in its 16-inch work main coming from the city of Big Bear Lake. That happened just 2 Saturdays ago. That's crazy. Yes, March 11th. There we go. Here we go. She's got it all down here. March 11th, we were informed at 10:42. It took about 22 minutes to turn the line off. The line, we think most of the issues with the line have to do with H2S in the top of the line. Over time, it happens to be the high point of the line itself. And so over time, the H2S settled in the top of the ductile iron pipe and it actually ate the pipe away. And so because we were receiving a lot of I&I from the city, the big pump ticked on and it found the point of least resistance and actually blew through the line. We did conduct a repair. It actually took quite a bit of time to do the repair because every time we put a repair clamp on, we were chasing holes down the line. But thanks to our staff, John and Troy, finally ended up at the end of the night, about 9 o'clock at night. John and Troy decided that they were just going to go get pipe for this 16-inch line, so they drove it in the middle of the night and picked up the piping. And it was probably 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. By the time they got there, they drove it back, and then they actually were able to get it repaired and returned it back to normal. Bear Valley Paving assisted us in digging holes and helping us out there at the site. So we're finally able to get it repaired, and we're back in business there. Next day, we were able to divert all the flow into our ponds. And we've been trying to pump that back into the system over time. Because of the INI, we're able to walk more flow to those ponds and actually to the city ponds. And so we're receiving a lot of flow from the city itself. But I have actually had a discussion with the city manager about the ponds and about the INI. And he was telling me that it's being reviewed with an ongoing, as part of the city's ongoing budget process. And it's that's already underway. So he's aware of that.
We just received a memo on that today. Good for me.
I'm just curious, how do you get notified of this?
So in this particular case, I only heard through the grapevine how we got the information. I got a call from Jared, chief from the city, who got a call from Robert Wedge from the city, and Robert was an on-call guy. I think he got a call, and I'm not quite sure. I had heard the city manager may have gotten a call from Bruce Boyd at the Stokely area that they saw something, and then eventually ended up, oh no, that's Barbara's line, that's the city's line. And finally got informed, but as soon as we were informed, it only took us 22 minutes to get the line shut off. So. Sir.
David, how often do we do pump station checks there that feed that line?
Daily, we do pumps, but it's also, we have a SCADA system. So,
Okay, so there hasn't been a record of a pressure drop on that line going back any, in other words, it was just, we caught it right after it happened kind of deal?
yeah, we caught it right after it happened. And you wouldn't see a huge pressure drop because it was only a 4-inch hole.
You'd be surprised. I actually I caught a sewer spill that way. Yeah, I've actually caught a spill ahead of time that way.
Oh, okay.
Because if you know your system and you see a difference in pressure, and it's enough of a difference in pressure, you know it's not pushing that water like it used to.
Yeah, I don't know that they saw anything, but again, we could look at the SCADA data and find out, but I don't know that they saw anything on there. So we could definitely look at that.
Yeah, because we even added pressure gauges to our other stations just to deal with that issue.
Okay, interesting.
All right, Larry, you have a question?
Do we know how much pipe is of the same vintage so that perhaps there's further problems anticipated?
6.5 miles. That is the entire pipe length. I think the pipe, if I remember correctly, I was just looking at it, it was put in 74, I think, if I remember correctly. When we were building the plant here in 74, I think that air receptor line was being put in at the same time. I don't, it's a force main, so it's a little bit more difficult to, like, you can't put a camera down there because you have to cut into it. There's a lot more to it to make an assessment of the line. Assuming that, because it is the high point, any, gases would be at that point, right? We're making the assumption that that same section was within 20 feet of the blow off of that line. We're making the assumption that that's where the high point of the line is, and that's why the gas was just settling on top when it's not flowing full, and then it actually ate the pipe away. They were able to cut out that section and get pipe that actually had credibility, and so we're making the assumption that it's probably just that section, but we're definitely keeping it in mind. Thank you.
Anything else, David, on your report? Or?
No, that was, the only other thing is, just to kind of give you an idea, as far as percent of flow, gives you an idea of where, the city was, about 61, 62 on average the last 2 months, of the flow. So there's a lot of I&I coming, from the specific city. And so that's one reason I'm mentioning it. I did send them an email, followed up with them on that flow, because, especially if it starts to become a bigger issue in the future.
Mr.
Yes.
If there is a high point that traps gas, is there any way of putting, I'll call it a scrubber or something on it where it can relieve the gas out?
There's an air release, right?
Okay,
The air release lets the gas off as it fills up, but it just 4 hours at a time.
Yeah, it's 50 years old, the pipe.
got it. Okay,
Ductile usually lasts a long time. It's got like a 50-year life, but it tends to last longer than that. It's just when you have H2S gas, there's really not. It's just, you just literally run the pipe, you can see the top. We have the section here, you can just see where it was then all the way at the top. But there's an air release, so that's what you have to have, where the air will come out as the flow goes through. But if it's lower flow, the pipe's not full, but it should be, but it's not at that high point, it could tend to eat the pipe. It's just that's the way it goes now.
Yeah, we haven't seen flow like this in quite a few years. Consistent flow like this in quite a few years, so it's probably why this has not come up as an issue in the past.
David, I just one quick question. It looks like the solar is meeting our expectations, but the chart is just really difficult to meet that. So I don't know if there's a summary of what the solar production looks like. We're at 99% or not of what we expected, or?
Yeah, that's, so there's a contracted amount. And then there is what we actually, so during these periods where, winter periods, they have a specific amount they're expecting to see. The back page it kind of helps with that monthly report. The back page kind of summarizes what they were expecting and what we actually, the actual production. I don't know, there's a whole lot of change I can make to it, but this kind of tells you what it was expected and what was actually produced overall, and it actually gives you the percentages, performance and the performance ratio.
So anything above 1 on the performance ratio is good.
Yeah,
So anything below is bad. Is that basically the way?
that's pretty much the way it goes right there.
Okay.
If you want, I could probably figure out maybe a way to translate it a little better for everyone and put it into like a table, if it would be helpful. I'm happy to look into a way to do that, to make it a little simplified.
Yeah, I was just, wondering how, my question is just how we doing on it, and,
Overall, it's, we're and I don't know if you recall, but there is actually a clause in the contract that they have to meet their the expectations of the project, or they have to pay us the difference, whatever power costs are. So far last year, that didn't have to happen. We're meeting the forecasted projections on the project, even though, because it is, it's weighted in their favor as far as the projections that it is in our contract. And when they exceed our contract, we're just still paying the per, say, watt cost. But we're basically exceeding our expected based on the performance of it. So happy to, like I said, let us look at, maybe an easier way to present it. That might be more helpful.
all right, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Larry.
After discussions with the desert agencies, has the concept that they are entitled to water been put to rest, or is that still in?
Yeah, so, interestingly, it has, I think they understand that and they have acknowledged in the past. And then we recently reminded them of that acknowledgement in the past. that they understand that the rights of the water remain with Barwa. So that's been put to rest. And we're looking for opportunities maybe with any excess water that we have with them. And, you know, we still have the grower that's interested in continuing to grow out there. During the winter, we have some excess that has to go down there when we have like days like today. And, you know, we'll have stuff we can't actually process over time. And so days like today, we would be shipping it down there, and there would be an opportunity for the grower who will grow, you know, some grain down there during the winter. If we'd like to continue that, you know, continue to do that. And then there may be some opportunity with Mojave Water Agency to, you know, maybe do some blending and maybe some spreading, and have it benefit the aquifer itself. So there's some discussions happening, you know, with them with regard to that. So yes, they are, in a long story short, they do understand that they don't have the rights to it. But we've also expressed the willingness to consider options with the excess water.
One of the magazine just had an article about Irvine expanding their capacity because they can produce 5,000 acres. They want to be able to store it. So do we kind of have an open end in our project that for now it's 2,000, but if we can't get excess of that, we might want somewhere to store?
So right now, they have projected, you know, for future, out into the future, up to 2,200. With, you know, I think the growth rate up here is 0.1%. But they have projected, you know, we still on average are getting 2,000 acre feet. But they have put into our permit up to 2,200 acre feet as the benefit. So knowing that there could be growth in the future, and then again, that's going into the lake. And then, you know, obviously some of it goes to DWP, CSD, and ski resorts and whoever else that MWD decides to, you know, wheel water to.
Thank you. All right, moving on to look at our consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion at the appropriate time. There will be no separate discussion on these items. A detailed discussion is necessary. Any government board member may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately. Do any of our board members wish to remove the consent calendar item? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, we have roll call. Please.
Who was the second?
I second.
Okay. Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller.
Aye.
Director Moat.
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Green.
Aye.
No items removed from the consent calendar. We have old business. Item 9A, 2023 rate and fee studies.
Yeah, actually Christine's gonna present this.
I got this one. Before you is the final 2023 rate and fee study. The preliminary study results were presented to the board at the February board meeting by HDR, which were subject to finalization by the agency's fiscal year 2024 budget. The final report is unchanged from that meeting. Typically, rate studies are done every 5 years to make sure we are planning on target for financial and rate stability for the agency. However, the previous rate study only recommended rates through fiscal year 2023 and did not include RVP construction. With the WIFIA loan application, the agency is required to obtain a commercial credit rating, and it is recommended that the agency have a 5-year rate plan in place to ensure an acceptable credit rating. This rate study included an analysis of the sewer user charges as well as wastewater fees through fiscal year 2028. For the anticipated revenue requirements, Farmers' recommended rate increase for sewer user charges is 4% each year, lowering to 3.5% in fiscal year 2028. With the addition of Replenish Big Bear, the total recommended sewer user rate increases 22.5 in fiscal year 2024, lowering to 18% through fiscal year 2028, which takes us through construction and the first full year of operations for RDB and assumes no other agency contributions. Waste hauler fees are designed to equal the agency's cost to treat waste, with annual rate changes reflecting annual charges and treatment costs. Waste hauler fees are recommended to increase 4% through fiscal year 2026, then 18% for 2027 to 2028 as Replenish Big Bear goes online. This rate study is information only, but does provide a nexus for rate setting.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for board members?
Is the 18% compounding each year? 18 plus 19 plus.
About 18% in 2025, 18% in 2026, 18% in 2027, and 18% in 2028.
Any other questions? I just want to real quick on Christine. So the bottom number is 22.5 and 18, but you're assuming 4% all the way across as our average rate. So really the replanning, the RDB rate is more like about 4% less than what's at the bottom line there. Is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah. So this is some information, yes.
And just to reconfirm, the rates listed on the sheet do not include, they're not inclusive of any kind of partnership contributions.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding is this assumes that there's no additional funding, grants or participation from the agency that we have not already.
That's correct. It's the existing grants that we have in place and no contributions from other agencies at this moment.
Then we're looking at about 20 million, almost 20 million now in grants that we've received. A project with the 2.5 that's coming up.
So 17 million to date. And then we anticipate probably in the range about 24 million total in grants. And then obviously we're hopeful for about roughly about 1.7 coming from other agency participation.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, seeing none, we will move on into our new business, which is item 10A. It is a resolution number R02-2023, resolution of the governing board of the Big Bear Area Regional Wastewater Agency, clarifying the fiscal year 2024 sewer standby or immediate availability charges.
Okay, so this resolution is to clarify or confirm the agency's standby fees. This rate is not reviewed annually, but per the operating agreements with the agencies, the rate is required to be adopted annually during the budget process. Standby fees are charged to owners of vacant and improved parcels of real property located within 200 feet of a member agency sewer main or not connected to the sewer system. These fees are used to maintain the regional system in an immediately available state. Standby fees remain unchanged. Parcels that are less than 1 acre are billed to $20, and parcels more than 1 acre are billed to $30.
Any questions from board members? This is the one that we can't change, right? And this is just impossible to.
Yeah, this is the one that, I mean, we would have to go out and get, the majority vote yes to change it.
Okay.
So,
I mean, we can change it, but it's a
process.
it's a huge process.
It's a huge process.
Any questions, comments from board members? We have a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2-2023.
Second.
First and second, any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Moat,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
Chair Green.
Aye.
All right, moving on to item 10B, public hearing, resolution number R03-2023, resolution of the governing board of the Big Bear Regional Wastewater Agency establishing sewer part is subject to annual review and taking certain other actions related thereto.
Okay, before you is a resolution establishing the two-year per user card for a 5-year period, subject to annual review in conjunction with budget approval to either affirm or adjust the rate based on that year's budget. The 5-year rates include RDB costs through construction and the first full year of operation. Rates again increased by 22.5% or $55.54 in fiscal year 2024 to $302.37, which is about $25.20 per month. To break down the increase for Barwa versus RDB, $9.64 of the increase for Barwa operations, with the remaining $45.90 for RDB expenses. Average annual increase for fiscal year 2025 through fiscal year 2028 is $70.96 or 18% for each year. Member agency rates are determined in accordance with the provision of the payment collection agreement and vary based on levels of demand on the sewer system by each member agency. The established rate is collected by each member agency.
All right, thank you. Any questions from board members? Christine, what was the numbers again for this year? What was the RDB ones? 41.
$45.90.
And the annual, the regular rate was like $9.
$9.64.
Okay, do you have a question? Yes.
So I don't know how to word this. How does it work if we get additional grants or have partnership contracts?
You want to?
Yeah, so what would happen is obviously we're setting a 5-year rate schedule. And so when we get those grants, we would readjust those rates. And maybe we would do it in the last year, or we might do it in the, depending on, when those grants come in. That's when we would adjust those rates. So it might be the last year that we don't have to do anything at all. We have no rate increase for the Replenish Big Bear project at all, or, depending on when it comes in. So we might, reforecast all the rates based on when when those things come in. Does that make sense? So if we can avoid doing 18% or, each year, that would be, obviously the best.
And then it's my understanding, David, that at the end of the 5 years, then instead of 18%, then it goes back to whatever we decided was a 4 or 5% increase in that time.
Yeah, typically it's, our rate increases around, between 3 and 4%. And that's what it would go back to those rates. This next few years, next few years is to support the Replenish Big Bear project and the contingencies and the first year of debt service. So we have to have those in place. So that's why we're starting to collect that now.
Any questions?
When would we do another rate study?
Well, depending on what, if we get those grants and those kind of things, we might revisit that at that point. Otherwise, it would be in 5 years.
So this is a public hearing, so I'll open up the public hearing. Are there any members from the audience that wish to speak on this item?
Come on,
Okay,
Steve.
seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion.
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. To reduce rates, do you have to do a rate study?
No, you do not.
Thank you. I'd like to make the motion to adopt.
I have a motion to adopt. After that, okay. Any discussion on this motion? All right. And we have roll call, please.
Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Moat,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Green.
Item 10C, public hearing
Wait, hold
resolution.
Chair Green,
I'm sorry. Did we have
You're
somebody in the
muted.
audience?
Sorry, we had a plane going over. Aye.
thank you.
Item 10C, public hearing resolution number R05/2023, resolution of the governing board of the Big Bear Area Regional Wastewater Agency to increase the current fee schedule for disposal of waste delivered to the regional treatment plant subject to annual review.
Okay, this is the resolution for wastewater fees for fiscal year 2024, fiscal year 2028. with an annual review in conjunction with the budget approval process in which the board can either affirm or adjust the rate for each fiscal year based on the year's budget. Wastewater fees reflect changes in treatment costs only. Therefore, these fees will not reflect increases for RBB until the project comes online in fiscal year 2027. Fiscal year 2024 to fiscal year 2026 represents a 4% increase per year, increasing to 18% in fiscal year 2027 and 2028. Waste disposal fee revenue averages approximately $22,000 per year. So as you can see, this is a very small portion of our annual revenue at less than half.
Any questions from board members? Okay, seeing none, we'll open up the public hearing. Members of the audience wish to speak. Anybody online wish to speak?
No.
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back for board discussion. Discussion on the item, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve resolution 5-.
Second. I'll second that. Discussion on the motion. The roll call, please.
Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Moat,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Green.
Aye.
Item 10B, public hearing resolution number R04/2023, relative from Governing Board of the Big Bear Area Regional Wastewater Agency adopting the operating capital budget of the Big Bear Regional Wastewater Agency for fiscal year 2024, approving budgeted projects and finding approval of the budget and budgeted projects exempt from review under the California Environmental Quality Act. Questions from board members? Okay, seeing none, we'll open up the public hearing. Are there any members from the audience that wish to speak on this item? Online?
No.
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back for board discussion. Okay, seeing none, can we have a motion?
Move the item.
I'll
I'll second.
Discussion on the motion. All right, seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller, Director Moat,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Green.
Aye.
Carries. Item 10E, Governing Board Committee Appointments.
Every year we have, after the reorganization process, we reappoint 2 governing board members to each of our committees, the operations, the administration, and the finance committees. Last year, we kept them the same because of the budget process. So it's up to the governing board if they'd like to change appointments, keep them the same, or reorganize who's on which committee.
So are
Can
there
you-
comments?
Can you review who's on which committee?
Yes. The administrative committee is Chair Green and Director Moat. The finance committee is Vice Chair Miller and Director Herrick, and the operations committee is Vice Chair Miller and Director Herrick.
Any comments from board members on those appointments? Are everybody good with that?
Comment that we don't have Director Walsh.
Director Walsh is not on a committee at this time.
No, okay. All right, so I don't see any comments on that. This doesn't require, does this require roll call?
It has a nomination for each committee and then a motion, a second, and roll call vote.
I get it right. So is it each committee that we go through?
Yes.
So let's start with what's the first committee?
Finance,
Finance, and, board member Herrick and board member Miller, can we have nominations for those 2 positions? Is that how this works?
Yeah. if you want to change it.
Nominate Vice Chairman or
And that requires a vote.
Yes.
So can I have a roll call, please?
Director Herrick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller.
Aye.
Director Moat.
Aye.
Director Walsh.
Aye.
And Chair Green.
Aye.
Our next committee is administrative.
Yes.
That is.
I nominate Chair Green and Director.
We have a nomination for Chair Green and board member Moat. For second. Discussion, so we need a roll call, we need to nominate, so you nominated. Okay.
Nominated Chair Green and Director.
Yes, sir. All right, so it's roll call. Roll call, please.
Okay, so let me just clear, you nominated Chair
Green
Green and
and
Director
myself.
Moat, and then the motion was by,
Second to nominate.
okay, perfect. Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Moat,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Green.
Aye.
Final, committee is operations. And that is.
It's me and you, Jim.
Yeah.
We are operations.
Yes, we are. Okay. So I'll make the motion to nominate myself and Director Mill.
And I will second that.
Okay, just to confirm, we're not having Director Walsh on any committee?
He's not showing interest in it.
He's shaking his head no unless we have some
Shaking his head no.
interest. You want
If
to be
he's
on?
not-
I will
if
draw
he-
mine from operations.
Are you good?
Between GPA and CSB, I have enough.
Okay. So we have nominations for board member Herrick and Miller. So can we have a first and a second? So we have roll call, please.
Yes. Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Moat,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Green.
Aye.
Item 10F, that's 10F, Replenish Big Bear Advisory Committee.
Before you get too far. When close nominations, the chair and vice chair do not have that on committee.
I'm sorry, what is the question?
Do you have a chair of these committees?
There's only 2 members, and so no, there is no chair.
Okay.
Replenish Big Bear Advisory Committee.
So, we were asked to bring this back to, the board for consideration, which is to basically set up a advisory committee for the Replenish Big Bear project. Obviously, it's a rather large project and there's gonna be a lot going on with the project, and having, an advisory committee, on the, to help with making, evaluations of stuff would be useful. And so, we thought this would be a great opportunity to get the board involved with the actual project, and so, that's why you see this over here, so. Maybe the board might want to consider, signing.
Any comments, discussion with the board members? No.
I think it's a great idea, and I'm actually interested in serving on it just to get more detail. I like to ask a lot of questions and don't always do that in the board meeting, but to be a better community too. So I'd be interested, but obviously open to growers. So
I'll express interest as well, but I would be happy if Annette were to make it on the committee as well.
Is it important to have, just, I mean, my comment was, is it important to have, split it between like, there are 2 major users, which is CSD and City Big Bear Lake.
But it probably might be not bad to do that. That concept of having, two different users on that committee might be beneficial for the project.
Chair Green is waving his hand.
Oh, yes.
Dave, how many times do you think this meeting's committee's gonna be meeting? We have board meetings once a month, so are you feeling like there's more of a need other than that?
Yeah, I would make the assumption that we would probably meet once a month, if not every other month, specifically on the Replenish project and the details. That's what I would expect.
So what are we tasking this committee with?
With basically, we tasking the committee with, project decisions, accompanied with the general manager, to stakeholder meetings as needed. It serves as an advisory committee, but, the activities conducting subject matter, jurisdiction, and or operations as needed and necessary. So, I mean, there would be a lot of like, we go to if there's different, meetings out there that might be benefit to have some of the board members attend.
Okay. I understand
the
that
MWD,
part. I understand that part, but, if you had mentioned making decisions, my concern would be that decisions are being made that maybe should be made by the board. And advisory is one thing, but actually going out and making decisions on behalf of the board, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that because of the scope of the project.
Yeah, I mean, most of the decisions are, like, I have authorization to make most of those, but it would be beneficial to have that opportunity to bounce it off the board members, but anything that the advisory committee, but anything that needs a board decision would definitely come back to the full board. They would,
Okay.
and you would see the committee making a recommendation, quite like what we do now with our finance committee, our operations committee, admin, they make recommendations to the board for on large decisions.
And I understand that this one is much larger. And I just
Yeah.
want to make sure if we start to do some large dollar decisions that the board is involved in it.
Yeah, the board would be involved in anything with large dollar decisions. The full board would be involved with that. This would be more of a, I see this more like supporting me when I go to like DWP or MWD or CSD for that matter, or, and there's discussion about the project, the GSA, sometimes there's discussion. Sometimes there is in the community itself, there'll be other meetings that we will need to attend. Then also, as we run through the piloting portion of this project, getting everybody involved with that and getting the committee involved with those. And as the project moves forward with details of the project itself, pretty intense as it moves forward.
And this committee will be working hand in hand with the GSA then? Is it?
No, this is Barrow will be, heading this project. And so it would be, more being hand in hand with the general manager.
Okay, so we're going to see less and less involvement from the GSA.
Yes.
Okay.
The hand up over
That's all I
there.
have.
So does that, so John, does that mean that you're interested in being on this committee?
I'm okay with whatever you guys decide.
So how does this work? Do we need to nominate then?
Yeah.
Yes, but Director Walsh has a question.
Are you showing an interest in?
I'm not anticipating a trip to Israel, but would most of these support meetings and interested agencies be here, or are you thinking like the one you had in the desert or
Most of
Montana?
most of them would be here unless, this, like say we had, Mojave agency, having their board members attend our meeting, then we might want to have our committee members attend that meeting as well. That last meeting was really staff and one attorney. And so, we probably just leave that at a staff level, but if it got to the point where we had, other board members were involved, then we would probably want to have the committee involved at that point. Does that make sense?
So no trip to Israel.
No trip to Israel. Okay. I thought of that myself, I thought, well, that would be kind of neat.
So I guess we need some nominations for this committee.
Well, I would nominate myself and Bennett. And there, or I'll give another alternative. If there's another member who'd like to be on it, then I would like to be at least an alternate on it in case there are meetings, somebody else can't make it. I think it is important to have actually board input at different levels, and especially in meetings. And I think it's also good to have board members to bounce stuff off of with ideas and no decision making, but it's just basically, what do you think if we were to go this direction? I think that's helpful before it comes in front of the whole board.
Just to remind the board, unfortunately with committees, we're not allowed to have an alternate on it because then it would be considered a quorum.
Well, no, I would only be an alternate if somebody was not showing up to that particular meeting.
So do more of the next in line for an appointment.
Whatever's the legal way to phrase it, we do have alternates for other committees, so it seemed like an alternate is the right word, but if that's not the right word, whatever the.
Yeah, we'll work those details out.
We have nominations right now for board member Herrick and Mo. Do we have any other interest by any of the board members?
If you're going to have an understudy, how does the understudy keep abreast of what's going on?
Yeah, that would be an interesting.
Well,
I mean, I would say Mr. Herrick is already probably one of the most knowledgeable about the project itself already, right? So it's probably not a lot he's gonna, and he does get, I mean,
I probably talk to David 2 or 3 times a month on the
Yeah.
project
so
easily.
he's probably one of the most informed about the project. So, he'll call up and say, hey, where we're at, what we're doing, and we talk about the project, overall. So, I think he would be up to date for the most part.
So do we have any other comments regarding the nominations? We have nominations for board member Herrick and board member Mo. Tom, I have not heard from you.
No, I'm good. Whatever you guys want to do.
I think we need
I would normally jump to be on that since I'm over at the GSA already and I have the sewer background and all of that. But right now, just with all my things and going on and whatnot, my schedule's kind of up in the air.
Are we open to having 2 city representatives versus a split?
I mean, ideally, it would be, another agency, but I don't know that it can't be that way.
Well, this comes up every year, correct? Or is this going to be carried on every year?
Probably to the end of, it's probably the end of the project, if I had to guess, or until.
It's for a 12-month term.
Okay, sorry,
It's
I'll
for-
let the expert.
It's an ad hoc committee, so it's a 12-month term. So at the end of the 12 months, we'll bring it back to the board. And if you'd like to continue it, then we vote to do that. If you decide to change the members, you can do that at that time. But it is all outlined in an ordinance already about the alternate. There can't be an alternate. But if the governing board decides that one member no longer wants to be it, we can always bring it back to the board and nominate somebody to replace them. That's not a problem.
What she said.
Yeah.
So I have a technical question.
Yes.
So if there is a meeting and one of the committee members cannot make it, it wouldn't be a Brown Act violation for somebody else to at least show up and not participate.
Correct. It would just be like Larry attending our,
Right.
admin or finance committee meetings. You have to sit on the side. You can't participate. But yes, you can still attend as a member of the public.
Okay.
In the past, it's been beneficial for our committees to have 2 different member agencies on them, just so there's no perception of favoritism or anything like that. In the meeting minutes that we were reading on ad hoc committees, that topic has been brought up in the past.
In the interest of diversity and, what's the other term that brought around now? Equity. I would consider.
I nominate Larry.
That didn't take long.
So we did not get a motion for the.
And the nomin,
So it's up to, I think it's up to the city to decide.
I used to attend the CSD and MWD meetings a few years ago, and I want to start again, actually, now that I have one. And I don't call them 2 or 3 times, so that's why I don't. I'm fine with it.
Okay, well, I will withdraw my nomination of Bennett and I'll allow you guys to
All right.
figure it out.
Thank you. Now, if I don't decide not to show up, you can place as a member of the public.
And it's not as if I don't have enough committees to serve.
That's right. So bring it back to nominations in for board member Walsh and Member Mo, we have a motion to nominate, I guess.
I'll formalize that.
All right, well, I'll second that. Okay, roll call, please.
Director Herrick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller.
Aye.
Director Moat.
Aye.
Director Walsh.
Aye.
And Chair Green.
Aye.
Item 10G, resolution number R 06-2023. Resolution of the Bigger Area Regional Wastewater Agency changing the date and time of regular meetings.
At the last board meeting, we suggested changing the date and or time of our regular board meetings, and so we're bringing it back for governing board consideration. There was an email that I sent out with all the other local agency meetings. When the fourth Wednesday of the month seems to be still a great day, so there's no conflict with any of your other board meetings or committees that you're on that I was aware of. But we were thinking of changing the time between 9 and 2 p.m., 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. on the fourth Wednesday of the month, but it's definitely up to the board to decide if they'd like to do that or not.
Especially for board members. My only comment is just, for me, the earlier in the morning, the better.
I like-
Go ahead. John, go ahead.
Good job.
I like
He likes
to.
to.
At various times and other agencies, I have suggested that in the interest of public participation, that maybe Saturday meetings should be considered, which went down in flames. And then I have considered that if a person lives down the hill and would like to attend a meeting, that perhaps Friday evenings would allow them to work half a day and then come up. To me, midday, midweek, pretty much guarantees no participation from the public. That's my concern.
Again, I'm retired, gentlemen, so. And ladies, you guys need to decide what works best for your schedule. Morning, afternoon, John suggested 2. I don't really have a preference. Because again, morning works better for me, but.
I do appreciate the days, not an early bird, and I do think to get members of the public as much as possible. I think we're gonna have more, hopefully, as the Replenish project gets its legs and all of that.
I guess we don't have to change it. We have to change it going forward.
No, you can leave it exactly where it's at.
You can leave it, the other option is leave it Wednesday 5.
I also
Yeah.
have,
A lot of, if I could, a lot of the times, because when I was working full time, in order to accommodate my schedule, we were doing it at 5. And now that I'm retired, that isn't necessary. But to Larry's point, most people are getting off work then. If they do want to come to the meeting, they can. So my first thought would be whatever is convenient for staff. My second thought would be access for the public.
I could just add. I mean, it's been Wednesdays at 5 for 30 years. I mean, if there's a reason to change it, I would change it, but other than that, we don't get a lot of participation, except Steve's now at all our meetings, but.
I can make 9 a.m. too, that's
So,
Saturdays. Well, I'm fine with 5 o'clock too. I like the time.
I do work, but obviously I can choose any 80 hours a week that I choose to work at my own business. So it almost doesn't matter, but it's just, it's been a thing we've been doing for years, unless there's a good reason to change it. And I don't foresee a good reason to change it. And a lot of our meetings are relatively short, but there have been a few meetings in the past where we've had a full house previously. And one of the reasons is because it is at 5 o'clock people can get here. And I think people kind of used to that for the most part. So I'll go either direction, but I'd like to hear a good reason for moving it.
if you were to move to a midday, what do you do about staff attending and also having the office open when you close the office during the meeting?
We have staff that would be able to come and accommodate the rush of people.
Russian.
We don't get very, but yes, we could have somebody up here to assist with answering the phone or helping at the counter.
I kind of do, I think I agree, right? I think we've been doing this, it's a habit, it's what we're accustomed to. Community's accustomed to, the know Wednesday, fourth Wednesday is our meeting. So
Yeah.
unless anybody has any strong opinions about this, we'll just table this item then.
Yep. Just need a motion to table in a second. Yep.
I'm motion to table this item.
Second.
Motion second, roll call please.
Director Herrick,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller,
Aye.
Director Moat,
Aye.
Director Walsh,
Aye.
and Chair Green.
Aye.
Comments and announcements, general manager comments,
I have none.
governing board members have any comments?
Just stay safe out there.
Yes, thank you, John.
Yes, stay safe.
For that.
I had actually ran into Ellen in the chamber and they hold a monthly GA RTAG meeting. They actually requested if someone from Barwood has time to attend, especially as the Replenish. Perfect, you know that.
Yes, I've spoken to her.
Good, okay. And then city council, we're in the middle of setting strategic priorities that we're going to present to the next couple months for public comment and community. That should all be interested in keeping an eye out for that. And then honestly, I just want to say I appreciate all the social media outreach that you've done lately on Replenish and just getting the word out. Community, it's very engaging and not boring. So.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for what you're doing. And happy, obviously, third day of spring.
If I could just tag on to that, I appreciate the emails. I don't do social media. It's too time consuming.
Yeah.
So I appreciate direct communications, either the phone, text, or email. So please continue.
Are you getting the newsletter from Replenish?
Yes.
Okay, and
Yes.
that's working
Yes.
for everybody?
It works perfectly for me.
Okay, good.
Appreciate that.
Mixed media.
Yes.
Any other comments from board members? Mr. Herrick.
If I could, and actually it's to do with Caltrans, it's been one of those issues. It's been kind of a thorny issue for many residents over a period of time because of the mixed messages Caltrans has been putting out. Currently, right now, we still are at an R3 for our roads here in the East Valley, as well as Highway 18, the back road to the Southern Valley. It's absurd. Our city manager actually approached them and asked them to please be a little bit clear with your communication. And their answer was this, that Caltrans CHP made the joint decision to issue the R3. They're getting a lot of complaints based upon my conversation with them. They are standing behind their decision at this time. So it is currently still makes 0 sense whatsoever. It's more Caltrans stuff that they put out there, and they're sticking with R3 for our roads.
And what I found fascinating is that it's R2 over on a summit.
Yes.
So 8,500 feet, it's R2, right? And-
Yeah, and supposedly Arrowhead Crestline got more snow than we did, and they're on R2 right now.
Is that right? Yeah.
Anyways,
So I guess if you go over on Exempt and come into Bigger and for those that truck, you're gonna have to change that.
and I specifically asked our city manager, since they were driving around checking the roads with their 4-wheel drive, did you put chains on? Because it's R3. And they said, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. So anyways.
Any other
Final
comments?
comment.
Okay,
That doesn't make sense.
more comments, then we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Wow. That makes